soldier named Zhao Nan, who was a rookie but familiar with the situation at the gathering point. He knew some of the right people and would take Wang Cheng to report to the survivor self-defense team. Additionally, he mentioned that he had found Wang Cheng's 2 friends, and Zhao would help guide him. Zhao Nan appeared youthful, around the same age as Wang Cheng, but he was very friendly and kept smiling. He said, "Your 2 brothers are with our brother unit and arrived here yesterday. Coincidentally, they also joined the survivor self-defense team. I'll take you to meet them." He got into Wang Cheng's vehicle and directed him, followed closely by a red Mazda carrying Wang Qi and a beautiful young woman. This was Wang Qi's final decision. He wanted to join the self-defense team alongside Wang Cheng. Wang Cheng felt both surprised, and it made sense. Wang Qi was growing rapidly. As they passed through the temporary gathering point, Wang Cheng saw scenes he had never witnessed before. The streets were filled with people. Disheveled survivors crowded the streets and alleys. This area, which could accommodate over 100,000 people, had long exceeded its maximum capacity, with many forced to sleep on the streets. The military lacked the manpower and resources to build temporary shelters for them. Everywhere, there were desperate figures, some sitting on dark blankets, motionless, staring blankly at the passing people and vehicles, their faces filled with confusion and despair. Some even had no blankets and lay on the hard ground, while the injured and sick had nowhere to go and also had to sleep on the streets. Most people appear disheveled, and the spark of life and enthusiasm they once had before the end is gone. Many are merely existing like walking corpses. Yet even so, they are better off than many others, especially compared to those still trapped in the chaos, living in a daze. At least they do not have to worry about being taken away by unknown monsters. It's hard to imagine that about a month ago, this city was thriving, with everyone living comfortably and mostly concerned about their studies and careers. Now, even the most basic survival has become a problem. The framework of civilization that humanity painstakingly built over long years has collapsed and vanished in such a short time. Wang Cheng sighed at this scene and said, "What are our plans going forward? How will these people be settled in the future?" "I don't know, and even if I did, I can't say," Zhao Nan replied. He was kind but disciplined, never speaking about military operations. "You can rest assured that as awakened individuals and members of the self-defense force, we will arrange accommodations for you. When the time comes, you and your 2 companions can meet up, and the 4 of you will have a room to yourselves." Wang Cheng nodded. At such times, those inside the gathering point were happier than those outside. Those who had a place to stay were better off than those who did not. Zhang Ruizhen had indeed given Wang Cheng a heads up. He admired Wang Cheng and wanted to keep him in the military, so he wouldn't let any trivial issues arise. Zhao Nan led Wang Cheng and Wang Qi through the process of registering with the self-defense force without any hindrances. And then Wang Cheng followed Zhao Nan into a gated community. One of the buildings here was specifically designated for survivors and members of the self-defense force. "Don't worry. Since you are willing to help, we will provide you with housing, basic food security, and weapons and ammunition. Of course, it won't be too much. But I must make it clear on behalf of Captain Zhang. The weapons are for fighting mutated creatures. If anyone commits wrongdoing, bullies others, or harms or kills someone, they will be dealt with by immediate execution in this emergency." Zhao Nan's rare seriousness showed. His military uniform served as a pass, and the survivors they encountered along the way made way for them. He led Wang Cheng and the others upward, stopping at room 506 on the 5th floor. Knocking on the door, the person who opened it was none other than Su Xinghai, whom he hadn't seen for many days. Seeing Wang Cheng at the door, Su Xinghai was surprised and immediately showed joy, giving Wang Cheng a bear hug. "That's great. I knew you would be okay. I'm so glad." Zhang Chao also peeked out from inside, displaying a happy expression. Seeing that they were fine eased Wang Cheng's heart significantly. However, they were not the only ones in the room. This 506 is just a normal residential apartment, a 1-bedroom unit with a total area of about 45 square meters. However, it is currently home to 7 people, and with more arriving, the others in the room are getting up, looking out with furrowed brows, clearly feeling that the space is insufficient. A 1-bedroom unit housing 7 people is undeniably cramped. Wang Cheng took a glance and frowned as well. He had heard from Su Xinghai and Zhang Chao that both of them were sleeping on the floor. The other 5 had already claimed the sofas and beds, leaving Su Xinghai and his companion to sleep on the floor near the door to avoid offending anyone. It was precisely because of this that they were the first to answer the door when someone knocked. This was clearly a case of newcomers being bullied by those who arrived earlier. It's a common situation, first come, first served. However, Wang Cheng frowned deeply. While he could overlook the others, he felt uneasy knowing that his brothers, Su Xinghai and Zhang Chao, were being mistreated. Before Wang Cheng could say anything, Zhao Nan had already stepped forward, taking the initiative to ask the others to leave, entirely clearing the 1-bedroom unit for Wang Cheng and his group. This was not only a favor from Zhang Ruizhen to Wang Cheng, but also aligned with the established rules. On the way there, Wang Cheng had heard Zhao Nan mention that room assignments were based on a humane principle, aiming to keep those who arrive together in the same space, with awakeners receiving preferential treatment. If a team had 2 awakeners, they were entitled to a room for the whole team. Wang Cheng was an awakener, and so was Su Xinghai, which perfectly met the criteria. Of course, meeting the criteria did not guarantee that it would be executed in reality. Without Zhao Nan and Zhang Ruixian's connections, Wang Cheng would have found it hard to invoke the standard. However, Zhao Nan spoke to those individuals, and although the others in the room wore displeased expressions, they obediently moved their belongings out. At this stage, who would dare offend someone connected to the military? Zhang Chao was somewhat surprised by this. Second brother, you're impressive. We didn't even argue with those guys over the beds and sofas, just because we heard they had military backing. Wow, it seems your connections are even stronger. With just a couple of words, they left with their tails between their legs. Chapter 73. The Invisible Circle. After Zhao Nan left, only Wang Cheng and the 4 men and 1 woman remained in the room, and the atmosphere became somewhat awkward. Wang Cheng suddenly found himself at a loss for how to break the ice when a beautiful young woman introduced herself cheerfully. My name is Yuan Rui. I don't have any combat abilities and rely entirely on you for a place to stay. I want to compete with you for resources, and I eat very little. I'm willing to share part of the supplies allocated to me by the military that I can't consume. If there is any danger, just let me follow you. You don't need to worry about rescuing me. Just let me stay with you. She seemed a bit nervous. She was a smart and brave woman, able to recognize what her current situation meant compared to other survivors. She was eager to stay in this group and immediately began tidying up the room, which was left in disarray after the others left. I can also help you with laundry, tidying up, and treating injuries. I have some medical knowledge. Yuan Rui is also aware that Wang Qi, whom she follows, has little say in matters. At this moment, Wang Qi remains silent, grateful to Wang Cheng. Although he wishes to keep Yuan Rui around, he knows where to draw the line and understands his own position. Wang Cheng, on the other hand, doesn't mind. His warship is large enough now, and even if he allocates rooms, he will spend most of his time in the vehicle. So, he turns his attention to Su Xinghai and Zhang Chao. He introduces Wang Qi briefly and subtly mentions the relationship between Wang Qi and Yuan Rui. Su Xinghai and Zhang Chao look a bit confused. After a moment of silence, Su Xinghai sighs and says, "It's fine. The 3 of us can sleep inside, and you 2 can stay outside. It's not easy for any of us, so let us help each other." Wang Qi and Yuan Rui show expressions of gratitude. Wang Cheng then exchanges some information with Su Xinghai and the others. Just as Wang Cheng had previously judged, that day they retreated to a supply store, intending to wait for Wang Cheng, but later they were attacked by hordes of mutated creatures, forcing them to relocate. Since then, they lost contact with Wang Cheng, yet they managed to navigate through dangers. Su Xinghai and Zhang Chao had some means of self-protection, and they followed the military all the way here, eventually reuniting with Wang Cheng. Su Xinghai says, after arriving here, we found that this gathering point was barely functioning. If we didn't join the survivor self-defense team, food and shelter would be a problem, which is why we chose to join. It shows that we have some capability. Otherwise, many who wanted to join Wu and T have had the opportunity. Wang Cheng nods in agreement. Within the survivor gathering point, although there is no life or death struggle, life here is not easy either. Su Xinghai and the others arrived a day earlier but didn't waste time. They basically figured out the situation here. Zhao Nan gave each of them an identification card like a work badge, which they used to participate in operations and collect supplies distributed by the military according to the numbers on their ID cards. When it was time to collect supplies, Su Xinghai took everyone's ID cards and walked out of the room with Wang Cheng, simultaneously introducing the situation here to Wang Cheng. In this complex, there are 3 buildings designated for the survivor self-defense team. The living conditions are similar to theirs, just with more people in larger houses and fewer people in smaller ones. About half of the people are usually drawn out each day. Ordinary survivors mainly assist in defense, while awakened individuals may be responsible for some combat missions alongside the military. However, the military is quite considerate. Although they have summoned people like them, they haven't imposed strict requirements. Even participation in combat is predicated on ensuring their safety. As for the people here, Su Xinghai's gaze shifts, looking around. There are quite a few people on both sides pointing at them, probably discussing who sent them and their strong connections. When they notice the gaze directed at them, those people naturally fall silent, retreating to corners or simply going back to their rooms. Wang Cheng rubs his nose, his expression somewhat peculiar. Clearly, he could rely on his strength. So how did he end up being seen as someone with connections? But it doesn't matter. Becoming a part of the influential circle means fewer troubles, which isn't a bad situation. Wang Cheng came here not to stir up trouble with the survivors, but to hitch a ride on the military's fast track and make a significant gain in energy points. The distribution point for supplies was right at the entrance of the community, where the military had set up several tables to allocate resources. Each person was to receive a bag of instant noodles and a sausage. By the time they arrived, There was already a long line, with other survivors outside